The Walking Dead may not be everyone's favorite show, but its run will always be remembered as one of the most successful television shows of all time. Whether that's by the astronomical peak viewership of 17.03 million viewers tuning in at its all-time peak, or just by the fact that it ran 11 seasons and 177 episodes. Its legacy will continue to dominate in the list of the best shows of all time. But what if I told you that these accomplishments were essentially impossible to achieve because of the haunting backstory the show has? Ever since The Walking Dead first aired, it became a major target from the scariest thing imaginable when it comes to streaming services: lawsuits. And by lawsuits plural, I don't just mean 2 or 3 single lawsuits. Fact is, The Walking Dead has been sued so many times, I'm able to make this video going in depth of every time it has been and why. But to understand why these lawsuits even started happening, we have to go all the way back to 2011 when the show was just getting started for its second season, which is also where we got this beautiful scene from.
What is that? What is that?
The co-creator of The Walking Dead, Frank Darabont, was responsible for writing the entirety of Season 1 and a majority of Season 2. What some people didn't know was that by the time Season 2 was airing in October of 2011, Darabont had already been fired in July. The firing of Darabont was pretty sudden and was later explained by AMC because of his erratic and unprofessional performance. Keep in mind, this is the same dude who wrote the most popular movie of all time, Shawshank Redemption. Ultimately, Darabont ended up suing AMC, claiming that the company owed him tens of millions of dollars for his work on The Walking Dead. Darabont and his lawyers contended that AMC had originally agreed to give him nearly 13% of the show's profits and to have an outside studio produce the show. Darabont even went as far as to accuse AMC of self-dealing. Self-dealing is the engagement in a transaction for the benefit of oneself rather than for the benefits of someone to whom one owes a fiduciary duty. Obviously, AMC had disputed Darabont's claims, and the multi-year tarnished battle officially began. The lawsuit continued to expand and still hadn't been resolved by 5 years later in 2016. It seemed that Darabont nor AMC were going to give up against one another. On top of that, Darabont made a new amendment regarding his firing on the show. Darabont took direct aim at AMC for firing him not even halfway through production on the second season of The Walking Dead. Darabont claimed the company had purposely fired him in order to reduce his profit share. And to make matters worse on AMC's end, they had reduced Darabont's profit share by 25% after firing him. The details of the lawsuit were clearly on the side of Darabont, and the lawsuit continued with more rebuttal from AMC than the amount of time Shane rubbed his head. Another year had passed, bringing the messy lawsuit into its 6th year, and many people thought, well, this can't get any worse at least. Until it did. It did get worse. The tragic day of July 13, 2017, during filming for Season 8, an on-set disaster occurred. No, it's not Darabont coming back to sucker punch the producers. In fact, this has nothing to do with the Darabont case. Stuntman John Berniker was going to do a stunt for a scene involving Dwight pushing another savior, Mark, off a balcony. The scene has never been shown or aired, and Mark's death is labeled as an off-screen death. This is because Berniker performed his stunt falling 20 feet off the balcony and landed headfirst on the concrete below. And there obviously was a crash pad below, but witnesses said that Berniker added his own improvisation to the stunt. It was a last-minute decision to grab and hold the railing as he was falling over, which made him miss the pad. However, Berniker's family didn't buy it and claimed that Austin Emilio had pushed Berniker off the balcony. Now, if you guys didn't know, scenes involving an actor and a stunt double, the actor is always given very strict instructions not to touch the stunt double. And the reason for this is pretty obvious, because if there is an accident, there is limited liability to who's at fault. Witnesses and Emilio himself contested that he did not lay hands on Berniker. But Berniker's parents also said that the lack of an ambulance or medic present, insufficient padding or spotters on the ground, the absence of a restraint or deceleration system if he fell wrong, the absence of personal protective equipment for Berniker, and the involvement of Emilio in the stunt instead of another stunt double. Ultimately, Berniker's parents won their suit and were awarded $8.6 million. But AMC was not found negligent for this accident. Instead, it was placed on the production company for that episode by Stalwart Films. A sigh of relief on AMC's end for not having to pay $8.6 million would not last long, because the most shocking and unexpected lawsuit to ever hit them was dropped on them like the nukes in Fear the Walking Dead. Robert Kirkman, co-creator of the Walking Dead comics, and other producers had filed multiple suits against AMC. They made claims that AMC had abused its role as a network and producer on The Walking Dead, and manipulated licensing fees to artificially lower the amount that creative participants were paid on the show. All of these suits combined had a potential to cost AMC $1 billion. At this point, AMC was an absolute hellfire behind the scenes, which could be one of the reasons the show wasn't as good at this time. And let's not forget that Darabont was still on AMC's tail, but even more than you could expect, because after he heard of Kirkman's suit, he decided to file a second lawsuit against AMC. In his second lawsuit, he claimed that AMC had shorted him his fair share of profits from The Walking Dead, but this time it addressed a wide range of shady tactics, not just low licensing fees. AMC had allegedly underreported The Walking Dead's earnings from iTunes and overcharged other distributors, which now both Darabont and Kirkman were attesting to. Though they had denied these claims, the lawsuit moved forward, bringing us into 2019. The Darabont court date was finally announced, a trial date being set to May 2020. Also, Justin Cohen of the New York Supreme Court had added to the suit that Darabont filed, making two suits which had potential to cost AMC $300 million. And what's pretty surprising is that AMC didn't even seem too worried about this lawsuit. A lawyer for AMC said they were looking forward to our day in court and providing that this case is nothing more than a money grab. The trial for May 2020 never actually occurred because of the state of the world, so they rescheduled it to April of 2022, which would have put this lawsuit into its 10th year. After it was announced that Darabont's second suit was delayed, AMC had finally got some good news, which is that they won the case against Kirkman, and the judge's decision was a total victory to AMC. To once and for all get out of all of this court drama, AMC had decided to settle the case with Darabont shortly after season 11 aired. They paid Darabont $200 million. Which obviously isn't $300 million, but I mean, I'm pretty sure Darabont was happy enough. At this point, AMC and Darabont could finally part ways without the looming threat of court dates constantly on their calendar. Well, at least for Darabont, because Kirkman hadn't given up just yet. After Kirkman lost his case in 2020, he replaced his entire legal team. He wasn't going to give up, especially after seeing Darabont get his large sum. And in November of 2022, Robert Kirkman and other producers had dropped their second lawsuit on AMC, this time for $200 million. I wonder where he got that idea from. The claims are pretty much the same, that AMC had underpaid its creative directors and underreported their earnings, except this time he has a stronger legal team and a whole 19-page document explaining his suit. The court date is scheduled for sometime next month in February, and obviously, as before, AMC is confident that they'll win this case. And me personally, I really hope AMC does win this case, because all of these lawsuits could really impact the future of these new spin-offs coming out, and none of us want that. I just hope that if Kirkman loses, he doesn't decide to do a third one, and then AMC will finally be in clear of all these lawsuits. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and peace.